Alien mother caught hiding in a human's chicken coop. We just needed shelter from the rain, she said. Rain hit the tin roof in hard bursts that shook the house. Wind pushed water across the orchard rows, bending the low fruit trees and making the wooden name tags on each trunk slap against the bark. Gabe Arden stepped off his small porch with a rifle tucked under his arm. He had heard a short, sharp noise from the chicken coop, with scraping, not a hen. He felt alert. His pulse tightened, and he kept his steps measured on the slippery ground. He lived alone on this small plot on Varies 4, a temperate farming moon where most residents worked wind harvesters or orchard lines. Gabe ran a quiet homestead with bees and hens. He was a former field medic from an off-colony emergency unit. He had moved here to stay useful without the noise of his old work. He checked his fences after storms and kept the animals safe. That was his routine. He reached the coop, slid the latch with his thumb, and eased the door open 2 inches. Damp straw smell pushed out, mixed with bird warmth and the sour of wet feed. A blue-skinned woman crouched inside, her back to the wall. Long red hair stuck to her cheeks and down her shirt like wet rope. She held a gray shawl stretched over 2 small girls curled against her. The younger girl's bare feet were covered in mud and straw. The older one had her arms wrapped around her knees and trembled in quiet jerks. Several hens perched on the roost behind them, unsettled. Gabe felt a short hit of shock, then a protective instinct. He lowered the rifle at once, clicked the safety, and shifted his voice steady. "I'm opening the door. Don't move fast. Nobody's getting hurt." The woman raised her head. Her voice came strained from cold, but she kept it calm. "We only needed shelter until the storm eased." The older girl looked up. Her eyes stayed on the rifle. "Are you angry?" she asked, voice thin. "Not with you," Gabe said. He slid the rifle behind his boot and pushed the door wide enough to bring light in. He knelt to be level with them. "I'm Gabe. You're soaked. Come inside. You'll warm up faster." The younger child's teeth chattered. "The birds stared at me," she whispered. "They stare at me too," he said. "They think everyone wants their eggs." That earned a small breath out of the older girl, close to a laugh, but not quite. The woman hesitated, her eyes assessing his stance, his hands, the open space behind him. Gabe recognized the calculation. He had seen it in displaced families during emergency evacuations. A fast check for risk before accepting help. "My name is Elira," she said. "They're Nivra and Lisa." "Let's get you dry," he said. Inside the house, the air was warmer and smelled of wood oil and last night's toast. Gabe hung the rifle behind the coat tree, out of sight. He pointed to the bathroom. "Hot water works. Towels and spare shirts are on the hook. Lock the door if it helps you feel safe." He set down a clean stack of folded shirts, soft, large, comfortable. None of them fancy. He heard the door lock, then water hit the tub. The girls' voices rose in surprise at the heat. Gabe felt responsible. He moved into the kitchen, lit the stove, and set the copper kettle. He measured Zyron berries and grain into a pot. The berries dissolved to a deep violet as he stirred. The warm smell pushed back some of the storm tension in his shoulders. He ground furlan seed coffee with steady turns of the handle, the tool scraping against the counter in a familiar rhythm. As he worked, he checked his front window. Rain slanted across the yard and pooled at the corner of the chicken coop. He frowned. The ground was getting soft near the foundation. If it washed out, the wall could slant and crush the nesting boxes. He knocked lightly on the bathroom door. "I need to work outside for a few minutes," he said. "Keep warm." "I'm right here." A short pause. Then Alira spoke, more steady now. "Do you need another set of hands?" "I can carry your brace." "I can handle it." The lock clicked. She opened the door a small distance. She wore his white work shirt, belted with twine at the waist, sleeves rolled. The hem reached mid-thigh. Her hair was damp and combed back. Her eyes checked him again, reading intent. "If the wall gives, it will put your birds at risk," she said. "I won't sit idle." Her daughter's voice came small from behind her. "Mama, don't go outside again." Alira looked back at Lisa and softened her voice. "Only for a moment. We help because we're guests." Gabe didn't want her out in the storm, but refusing her might make her feel helpless. He needed her to trust him, not feel controlled. "All right," he said. "Put on boots. I'll get you a cloak." They crossed the yard with the rain beating against them. Gabe carried a spade and 2 wooden boards. Alira followed, cloak hood up, boots clumsy but steady. He wedged a board under the Coop's corner for support. She braced it with her shoulder without being told. He dug a shallow trench to reroute the water toward a lower dip in the yard. Mud splashed her legs, but she held the plank firm until the flow shifted direction. He felt relief when the water finally pulled away. He checked her hands. They were shaking from cold, not fear. "Done," he said. Inside, back in the house, the girls stood wrapped in towels, eyes heavy. Alira guided them to chairs with a light touch at their backs. Gabe placed bowls of steaming violet porridge, slices of buttered Varan root bread, and a small plate of seared ridge goat strips. Fat glistened on the meat, edges browned. Lisa watched steam rise from her bowl. "It smells warm," she said. Nivra sat straight, hands in her lap, waiting for permission. Alira nodded, and the girl took slow, careful bites. Alira ate last, measured and guarded, eyes shifting to each window and door between bites. Her body stayed slightly angled, ready to stand if needed. Gabe saw the tension, not the hunger. "You're safe here," he said. "If someone comes, I'll answer the door. You stay seated." Alira held his gaze. "We left the workers' lodge today," she said. The foreman made a comment, loud enough for the room. He looked at me, then my girls. She spoke evenly, but her fingers tightened around her spoon. "I won't stay where my daughters are looked at like that." "That's enough reason," Gabe said. "You don't need more." Nivra glanced between them. "Will we have to leave here too?" she asked. Gabe kept his tone calm. "No decision tonight. You eat, you rest. We'll talk after sleep." Lisa yawned hard, head tipping sideways. Alira placed a hand over her hair and stroked once. The girl leaned into the touch with a tired little hum. Gabe opened a small tin of crushed Zyron leaves and set it in front of Nivra. "Smell this when your chest feels tight." Worked for Lisa too. Alira lifted the tin, smelled it, and nodded once. Approval given. His house had been quiet for a year. Now the kitchen felt full, but not in a bad way. He watched them eat, carefully, like the meal might disappear if they enjoyed it too much. He understood that. In emergency shelters, people ate with the same hesitation. When they finished, Gabe cleared plates while Alira tried to stand a wash. He shook his head. "Your guests." "We work," she said. He saw the edge in her posture. Not rudeness, but need to prove she wasn't taking advantage. He adjusted. "You dry. I'll wash." That compromise landed better. She took the towel from his hand and dried each dish with slow, focused strokes. It steadied her. A knock hit the screen door. All 4 froze. Gabe felt his back go tight. Alira stood instantly, placing one hand behind her daughter's. He moved to the door, but kept his body blocking sight into the kitchen. Rain dripped from the porch roof. "Arden," a male voice called. Gabe recognized his neighbor Havel. "Water's backing up at the lane. You need sandbags." "Appreciate it," Gabe said without opening the door. "Leave 2 by the gate." "You got company?" Havel asked. "Storm trouble earlier," Gabe answered, calm but firm. "All handled." "Right," Havel said. "I'll drop the bags." Boots stepped off the porch. Rain swallowed the sound. Gabe waited a full 10 seconds, then exhaled and stepped back. He saw Alira watching him, chest rising and falling. "You didn't hide us," she said. "You're not a secret," he said. "You needed shelter. That's enough." She studied him again. Less distrust this time. More calculation of what kind of man he was. He could see her deciding whether this place could hold them for more than a night. The girls drooped with exhaustion. Their shoulders sagged. Gabe opened the closet and pulled out 2 soft flannel shirts. "Temporary pajamas," he said. "Smallest I have." Nivra took them, hesitating. "Do we sleep on the floor?" "You sleep in the spare room," Gabe said. "Clean sheets. Window latches work. Door locks from inside if you need it." Lisa clung to the shirt against her chest. "Will the storm come in the windows?" "No," Gabe said. "This house holds during storms. Proven many times." Alira met his eyes. "Thank you," she said. "No decoration. Just the words." He nodded. He didn't add anything that would make it heavy. "Grab rest. We'll look at next steps in the morning. One day at a time." Alira guided the girls down the short hall. The floor creaked softly. The spare room door closed. Gabe cleaned the kitchen. He checked the yard once more. The coop stood firm. The trench held. He locked the back door and hung his cloak to dry. He sat on the edge of the couch, the storm still pushing wind against the house. He felt the shift in his life. He saw 3 people who needed more than a night's shelter, safety, dignity, and a chance to stand on their own again. He planned to give Alira structure and choices, not charity. She would need steps to regain her independence, and he could guide her without taking over. He turned off the kitchen light and listened. Rain softened. The house held steady. 3 quiet breaths came from the spare room, and the sound changed the place in a way he hadn't expected. Morning came pale and cold. Light spread across the orchard in a thin layer, catching droplets on the branches and turning them clear. The storm had moved on, but the ground still held its weight. Gabe woke early, muscles stiff from the night's tension. He sat up on the couch where he had slept and listened. The house was quiet. No footsteps, no hushed voices. For a moment, he wondered if Alira had left before dawn. He felt uneasy. His chest tightened as he pushed up and walked toward the spare room. He paused, then knocked lightly. "You good in there?" After a second, a small voice answered, groggy. "We're awake." Alira opened the door. She had tied his white shirt at the waist again, sleeves rolled clean, her damp hair now dry and braided over one shoulder. The girl stood behind her, dressed in the flannel shirts from last night, hanging like simple nightgowns. Their hair was messy from sleep, but their faces looked less strained than before. Alira glanced at the couch. "You didn't sleep in your room. Didn't want to crowd you on your first night here," he said. "The bed's yours until we plan longer." Nivra shifted closer to her mother. "Can we help with morning chores?" she asked. "We don't want to stay for free." Gabe nodded. "There's a way to stay without feeling like you owe something. We'll find a balance." He planned to teach them daily routines that would give them structure, so they wouldn't feel like burdens. He motioned to the kitchen. "Breakfast first, then we'll check the coop and orchard." He poured the remaining porridge into a pan, added a splash of water, and crushed berry to warm it through. He cracked 4 eggs from the hens into a skillet with a little butter. The edges crisped golden, the center stayed soft. He sliced last night's Varan root bread, toasted it, and set everything on the table. The smell pulled Lisa forward, half asleep but drawn by food. As they ate, Gabe addressed one of the unspoken gaps from last night. "Alira, the workers' lodge you left, was it your job or housing that forced you there?" She ate slowly, posture straight. "Food packaging line," she said. "Night shift. Housing came with it. They deducted rent from wages. The room was crowded, hot, and loud. Not a place for children." Her voice stayed steady, but her hand tightened on the fork. "I tried to save enough to move, but rules changed. They limited single parents taking day shifts." Nivra swallowed and added quietly, "Mama asked for a different bunk." They laughed. Gabe nodded once. He didn't offer pity, just acknowledgement. "No one's laughing here." Lisa tapped her plate. "Is this house yours, or did someone lend it to you?" "It's mine," he said. "Bought it 2 years ago. I work the orchard and bees. It covers the taxes and food." Alira studied his face. "Why are you alone here?" He felt the old sting when that topic came. He kept his voice neutral. "Field medic work burns people out. I left before it hollowed me." He didn't elaborate yet. That could come later when trust held stronger. After breakfast, they dressed for outside. Gabe handed Nivra a small wool sweater and gave Lisa a pair of thick socks to wear under the boots so they would fit better. Alira tied the cloak around her shoulders, adjusting the twine belt on the shirt to keep it from lifting in the wind. She looked more grounded today, less like someone ready to run. They stepped out to the yard. The air smelled of wet soil, feathers, and the faint sweetness of the hives. The coop stood solid after last night's fix. Gabe crouched to check the plank and trench. Still holding, Alira joined him, brushing mud with her fingers to test softness. "It worked. It'll hold until we replace the corner board," he said. Not urgent today. He expected Alira to stay close to the girls, but she moved toward the hens instead. She knelt, lifted the feeder lid, and refilled grain with steady movements. She must have done similar work before. He noticed she checked each hen the way he did. Quick eye scan, wings, feet, alertness. Someone had taught her how to assess livestock. It raised a quiet question in his mind, but he didn't press yet. "You worked farm lines before the food plant?" he asked. "My parents kept goats," she said, eyes on the feeder. "On our home district, before relocation." Her tone shifted slightly, not wanting to open that history yet. He nodded. "Goats teach patience. Goats teach stubbornness," she replied, and a faint trace of humor touched her mouth. It was the first hint of who she was beyond survival mode. Lisa pointed at the hens. "Do they bite?" "They peck if you're rough," Gabe said. "If you talk calm, they don't mind." Lisa leaned in close to a hen and whispered, "I like your feathers." The hen blinked, then continued eating. Lisa looked up, proud of the result. They walked the orchard next. Wind turbines turned slow on the ridge, blades dripping from the night storm. Gabe moved branch to branch, checking for split limbs and water pooling. Alira watched how he looked at the land, measured, aware, not careless. She picked up a fallen branch and carried it to the compost without being asked. "You take care of this place like it's alive," she said. "It feels wrong to do it halfway," he said. "A house only keeps you if you keep it." She held his look a moment, then nodded as if the sentence sat well with her. Trust built in these small exchanges. Niver walked beside Gabe, quiet. "If we stay longer," she said, "will we have chores like real family? Not pretend help. You'll have real roles," he said. "Not busy work. You're capable." Her shoulders eased. She needed purpose, not charity. Before heading back inside, Gabe addressed a question that often troubled people who arrived with nothing: what they owed. "You don't pay for staying here with money," he said, voice level. "We build routine. I'll teach you what keeps a house running. You take part. That's enough." Alira stood still, absorbing the words. He could see she wasn't used to fair rules. "Structure helps," she said. "For them. For me. That's the plan." Inside, warmth met them again. Gabe removed his coat and set it to dry. He filled the kettle and looked at the three of them. Damp hair, borrowed clothes, but straighter posture than last night. He took out a small jar of honey from the hives and set it on the table, as if marking the start of something new. "Here's how today goes," he said. "We rest an hour. Then I show you the pantry system and the safety things every person in this house should know. After that, we talk options for what comes next. No pressure on decisions today." Alira listened carefully. She felt cautious hope. She pulled a chair for the girls, sat with them, and wrapped the cloak tight. "Thank you for giving us a day," she said. "It's not alone," he answered. "It's a reset." He didn't say more. He wanted Alira to regain her footing through action, not sympathy. He would guide her through steps that restored her independence, even if she didn't fully see the path yet. From the hallway, Nivra called softly, "Can we stay for the hour and not talk?" Gabe gave a short smile. "That's the first rule of this house. Rest means rest. Talking optional." The house settled into a calm that felt earned. The storm had taken something with it overnight, fear's first layer. Not gone, but thinner. The real work of rebuilding would start today. He was ready for it. The hour of rest passed quietly. The girls fell asleep fast on the couch, bodies curled under a patch blanket. Alira stayed awake, sitting at the kitchen table with her cloak folded beside her. She watched the room as if memorizing it. Window locks, exits, the way light fell through the curtain. Gabe noticed. She wasn't relaxing fully yet, but she wasn't bracing to run either. He felt a steady purpose. He planned to establish routines that would give her control, not dependence. He wiped his hands on a dish towel and nodded toward the small pantry door near the stove. "Let's start there. The girls can join when they're up." Alira stood, tying her braid tighter. She moved with a careful readiness, as if expecting to earn a correction. Gabe opened the pantry and revealed shelves lined with jars. Honey, grains, dried fruit, pickled vegetables, and cans of preserved meat. Each had small handwritten labels. The top shelf held medical supplies, bandages, antiseptic, fever tabs, and a tin box. "This house runs on simple systems," he said. "Easy to track. You'll learn them with me. Then teach the girls so you're not carrying everything alone." She scanned the shelves with a practiced eye. "You organize like a clinic storeroom. Habit. Alira reached toward the tin box. Can I see the medical kit? In case you're not home one day. That question filled a gap he knew he needed to address. What if he left the house for work? He lifted the tin down and set on the table. Inside were wraps, ointments, pain tabs, a stitching kit, a compact cold pack. Basic stock. Enough for cuts, sprains, fevers. I'll teach you how to use each thing safely. Alira nodded. I want to learn. I don't like relying on someone else for every step. He appreciated the honesty. Good. You'll have the skill to handle things on your own. The girls padded into the kitchen mid-lesson, hair flattened on one side, eyes still heavy with sleep. Lisa carried the blanket like a cape, dragging it behind her. Are we late for the job? She asked. No, Gabe said. Perfect timing. Sit. You'll learn something useful. Nivra sat up straight, alert. Can we help with shelves? Not yet. Today, you learn safety rules. Gabe pointed to the tin. If someone gets hurt, you tell an adult first. You never open this unless you have permission. Clear. Both girls nodded, Nivra sharp and Lisa half-late. Alira sat with them, trying not to hover. Gabe saw her hands stay near the girls, not touching them, but close enough to move fast if needed. Protective instinct sat in her muscles. He took a small step to reduce one more unknown they hadn't talked about: money and state duration. He poured 3 cups of weak tea and leaned on the counter. I want you to know something up front. You don't owe me rent while we figure out next steps. Food isn't conditional. You don't pay it back later. Alira stiffened. Then what do you expect in return? Routine, effort, respect for the house. Nothing more. She studied him, making sure there wasn't a hidden cost. No debt. No debt. The tension in her shoulders lowered, not fully, but noticeably. Then I can accept it, she said. Nivra listened closely, absorbing the rules. Lisa dunked bread in her tea and watched it melt, fascinated. They moved next to the back door. Gabe pointed to hooks on the wall. Coats, boots, lantern keys. Everyone keeps their boots here. Keeps mud out. If you leave the property, you write it on the chalk by the door. Not for control, for safety. If you don't come back on time, we go look. Alira nodded. Fair. We're used to logging movement from the lodge, but there was punishment if late. This isn't punishment. It's accountability. It protects all of us. She held his look. The difference mattered to her. They stepped outside to gather dry kindling. The sky stayed overcast, air cool. Gabe walked ahead, and the girls followed him, boots squishing on the wet soil. He checked the coop once more, then lifted the feed sack to confirm they had enough for the week. Alira carried the bucket of kindling and watched the yard's perimeter. She was noting blind spots, fence condition, and any place someone could approach unseen. Gabe saw it. He understood why. You check surroundings like someone who's had to leave fast before, he said quietly, so only she would hear. She tightened her grip on the bucket. Relocations teach you to scan. You pack only what you can carry. How long were you moved between housing sites? Her throat worked. 3 places in 14 months. That explained the hypervigilance, the sleep patterns, the refusal to settle. You're not being moved again without your choice, Gabe said. She didn't answer, but her pace matches instead of keeping distance. That was enough for now. Back inside, he lit the stove again. He fried thin slices of salted ridge beef with onions and a spoon of rendered fat. The meat sizzled, the edges crisping. The smell filled the kitchen. Lisa climbed onto a chair to watch. Can I stir? You can flip, he said, handing her a small spatula. She took it like a fragile tool, focused hard, and flipped a slice with the serious care of someone performing surgery. Nivra clapped quietly for her sister. Alira tasted a piece. The salt and fat softened her expression. No protein at the lodge breakfast. Only starch, she said. Hunger had been normal for them. You'll eat real meals here, Gabe said. You need strength, not survival crumbs. He watched Alira's reaction, gratitude mixed with discomfort. She wasn't used to receiving without being told the cost. He needed to ease that slowly. After they ate, he filled a small tin with honey and handed it to Nivra. This is yours to keep in your room. 1 spoon at night helps with nerves. You don't have to ask. Just don't give Lisa more than half a spoon or she won't sleep. Nivra held the tin like it meant more than he intended. Thank you. It's not a gift, he said. It's a tool. Alira watched that exchange carefully, how he gave the child something beneficial without making her feel indebted. That taught her more about him than any speech. Rain began again, light this time. Gabe checked the clock in the gray sky. I go into town once a week for supplies, he said. If you stay here longer, we'll need to figure how you want to handle being seen. People talk on small moons. Alira lifted her eyes. If we go into town with you, they'll assume we belong here. That a problem? She looked at the girls, then out the window. If the wrong person sees us, it becomes a problem. But hiding creates rumors too. We'll handle it together. When you're ready. She took his calm tone. He didn't push. He didn't rush. He offered choices. She breathed out slow. Not today, but soon. Lisa tugged Gabe's sleeve. Do we stay another night? Gabe crouched her height. Yes. And tomorrow too. You're not being pushed out. The relief on her face hit fast. She threw her arms around his neck. He didn't expect the hug. He placed one hand on her back, gentle, steady, letting her hold on until her breathing calmed. Alira swallowed, eyes softening at the sight, though she kept her hands at her sides, unsure if she was allowed the same comfort. He stood, met Alira's gaze, and spoke quietly enough for only her. No one in this house has to earn permission to exhale. Her lips parted, but she didn't speak. Her eyes said enough. She had forgotten what that felt like. The day was only starting, but a new certainty settled among them. They weren't just sheltered from storm anymore. They were beginning a life that required rebuilding trust, routine, and dignity piece by piece. Gabe intended to guide them through that, until they could stand without him if they chose. By midday, the rain had thinned to a mist that clung to the orchard leaves. The house felt warmer now that food had settled in their stomachs, and the morning's tension had eased. Gabe rolled his sleeves past his elbows and opened the back door to let in fresh air. The girls played with wooden spoons on the floor, inventing a quiet game, while Alira folded the borrowed laundry with measured, precise movements. She felt uneasy. Her eyes kept drifting to the front window, facing the road, as if expecting someone to appear. Her fingers paused mid-fold. Gabe caught the glance. Nobody comes here without reason, he said. The nearest neighbor is a 5-minute walk. People on varies, for keep to themselves unless invited. Alira nodded, but her shoulders stayed raised. Where I lived before, doors open without knocking. Inspections, she said. Random, unannounced. That doesn't happen here, Gabe said. No one enters your space without permission. He saw her absorb that. She placed the last folded shirt down with more control, as if adjusting to a new rule she hadn't experienced in years. He checked his watch. I need to do a hive check before the weather drops again. It takes 10 minutes. I don't want to leave you and the girls alone without a plan if someone knocks. He spoke clearly, not to alarm her, but to prepare her. Alira straightened. What do you need us to do if someone comes? I'd rather know than guess. He appreciated that. If I'm outside and someone shows up at the door, you don't open it. Call my name first. If I don't answer, lock the door and stay in the kitchen. That's enough. She repeated it once quietly, fixing it in her mind. She was learning the house rules one by one, not to obey him, but to regain control of her own safety. Before stepping out, Gabe set a small handheld comm on the table. If I'm more than shouting distance, this calls me. You press here. He tapped a button. Signal reaches across the orchard. It's simple tech, no tracking, no logs. That addressed a missing detail. What communication existed if he wasn't inside? Alira touched the device lightly, testing the button with her thumb. Thank you for telling me how it works. In a lodge, tech always came with hidden rules. Not here, he said. Outside, he donned his bee veil and gloves, lit the smoker, and approached the hives. Mist coated the grass and muffled sound. Bees moved slowly in the cool air. He opened the first hive box, checked comb health, brood count, and honey reserves. A few frames needed cleaning. Easy work. Inside, Alira wiped the kitchen counter, then stopped and studied the row of jars they had labeled earlier. She adjusted one label that sat crooked. Her movements were quiet but purposeful, as if restoring order steadied her nerves. She was used to being responsible for the atmosphere around her, keeping things clean to avoid giving anyone a reason to criticize. Nivra watched her closely. "Mama, are we staying here more than 2 nights?" she asked in a low voice. Alira hesitated. She didn't want to promise something she couldn't guarantee. "We are safe today," she answered. "Tomorrow we talk again." Nivra pressed. "But do you want to stay?" Alira's expression softened. "For the first time in a long while, I want to stay somewhere." "That scares me." Gabe returned, removing his gloves at the door. "Hive's good," he said. He washed his hands at the sink, water running warm. Alira passed him a towel without being asked. A small gesture, but natural, a sign of beginning to share space. He turned to the girls. "Want to learn something new?" Lisa perked up instantly. "Yes." Gabe brought out a loaf tin and ingredients. Zyron bread. Easy, but needs patience. He cracked eggs into a bowl, added mashed berry and flour, and let Nivra stir until the batter turned a deep violet. Lisa sprinkled a pinch of sweet root flakes on top. As the loaf baked, the scent filled the kitchen, warm berry, spice, and yeast. Alira leaned on the counter, inhaling. It had been a long time since a kitchen smelled like home and not a communal mess hall. To address another gap, where Gabe had come from and whether he had family, Alira spoke while watching him work. "You said you left field medic work before Hollowed you. Did you have someone here before? A partner?" He paused only a second before answering. "I was engaged once. Before Vary's 4. She wanted city life. I didn't. We split before making it official." He didn't add bitterness, just truth. Alira studied his face. "Does she know where you are?" "No. We ended clean. I'm here by choice, not hiding." That distinction mattered to her. The oven timer rang. Lisa jumped. Gabe pulled out the loaf, steam rising off the crust. Violet swirls marbled through the bread. He cut a slice for each of them. Lisa hummed with her first bite, mouth full. Best berry bread ever. Alira ate slower. The warm bread seemed to anchor her, shoulders lowering another degree. "This tastes like something people make for each other, not for ration points," she said. Gabe sat at the table with his slice. "That's the idea. Food is part of building a life, not just surviving it." He saw Alira glance again at the front window, less anxious now, more thoughtful. She was considering what staying here would mean. He decided it was the right time to raise a topic that had been left unspoken, her right to make choices in the house. He didn't want her to feel like a guest forever. "You should know," he said, tone serious. "This isn't a shelter with rules stacked over your head. If you stay, this becomes your home to shape too. You'll have a say in how things run." Alira absorbed that. She wasn't expecting a voice, only a roof. "You're offering more than safety," she said. "You're offering place. A place works only if you help write its rules," Gabe said. Nivra watched both adults with deep concentration, as if trying to measure if this was real. Lisa climbed onto Gabe's knee without asking and leaned her head to his chest. She felt safe. Her breath slowed, eyes half closing. Alira stiffened a moment at the sight, unsure if she should pull her daughter back, then saw Gabe's steady hand supporting Lisa's back. Nothing presumptuous, just gentle. He looked at Alira for approval. She gave a small nod. It was the first time she let someone else hold one of her children without tension. After lunch, Gabe stood and stretched. "We should take a short walk to the road. You need to know the nearest houses in case of emergency." Instead of fear, Alira responded with readiness. "Yes, if we stay, I should know the land." Nivra raised a hand. "Do we need to hide our skin outside?" "No," Gabe said immediately. "People here see all kinds of skin. Blue won't cause trouble. Folks mind their business." That filled in another unspoken concern. They wouldn't be singled out for their appearance on Vary's 4. They put on cloaks and walked the dirt path to the road, passing the quiet fields and the single mailbox at the lane. The world outside Gabe's property wasn't crowded or threatening. It was open, calm, with distance between homes. No patrols, no surveillance panels. Alira kept looking for them at first, then slowly stopped. Gabe pointed at the 2 nearest farmhouses. "That one's Havel's. Kind man. Talks too much. That one's Mina and Joe. They keep sheep. If you ever need help, and I'm not here, go to Mina. She's steady. I'll remember, Elira said. She was absorbing the map, not as someone planning an escape, but as someone building familiarity. As they returned to the house, the girls ran ahead, chasing each other through puddles. The sound of their laughter didn't feel out of place anymore. Elira walked beside Gabe, cloak brushing his sleeve. Her voice lowered. If we stay, I want to contribute, not just survive. I won't let you carry all of us alone. You won't, he said. I wouldn't offer if I didn't believe you could stand on your own again. I'll teach you the steps, one at a time. For the first time since she arrived, Elira didn't look like a woman planning for the exit. She looked like someone imagining a future and fearing it a little less. The next morning began with clearer skies and a chill that clung to the floorboards. Gabe lit the stove early so the house would warm before the girls woke. He cracked 3 eggs into a pan, added finely chopped peppers and a bit of smoked ridge beef left from yesterday. The scent spread through the kitchen and into the hallway. Elira stepped in quietly, hair braided tight, the white shirt now tucked into a borrowed pair of work pants Gabe had found in storage. They were a little loose, cinched with twine at the waist, but they freed her to move comfortably. She felt more settled. Her eyes still checked exits and windows, but her posture was straighter, less guarded. She leaned her palms on the counter, absorbing the heat from the stove. You were up early, Gabe said. Couldn't sleep long, she admitted. My body still expects someone to shout orders at dawn. That ends here. She studied his face a moment. Why are you doing this for us? It wasn't suspicion, just a need for clarity. You needed shelter, he said simply. Now you need a foundation. I can offer that until you decide your next step. She didn't push further. That answer, plain, without hidden conditions, was enough for now. The girls joined them, hair messy, voices soft. Lisa climbed onto her chair, still waking. Niver sat with a small notebook Gabe hadn't seen before. He nodded at it. What's that? List of things we should learn, Niver said, flipping a page. I wrote, house rules, farm jobs, medical kit, the neighbor map, and how to make the berry bread. She hesitated, then added, if we want to stay, we should be useful. Gabe felt a quiet respect. That's a smart list. We'll work through it together. During breakfast, he added something missing from earlier days, future planning. Food will last us a week, he said. After that, I go to market for supplies. If you 3 are still here, we should decide how you want to appear there. As guests? As residents? Or something in between? Elira's fort paused. She considered the impact. What brings the least attention? Walking with me openly, he said. People talk more when something looks hidden. Elira exhaled slow. Staying meant being seen. That wasn't small for someone who'd spent a year being moved around like cargo. Lisa raised her hand like in school. If people see us, will they take us? Gabe knelt beside her. No one here is taking anyone. You're not property. You're family. He glanced at Elira for her permission before saying the next line. Any decision about your lives belongs to your mother, and when she wants, to you too. Lisa nodded, reassured. Elira's eyes softened with gratitude, subtle but real. After breakfast, Gabe brought out 3 tasks to give the day structure. Teach Elira the pantry inventory system. Give the girls small, age-appropriate responsibilities. Repair the Coop corner properly now that the storm had passed. He intended to shift more responsibility to Elira gradually, so she could regain independence without feeling dropped into chaos. They began with the pantry. Elira copied Gabe's labeling style. Clear, simple, no clutter. She suggested storing grains on a lower shelf so the girls could help refill them. Gabe approved the idea. He wanted her to feel ownership of the space. Good call, he said. Efficiency matters. Her eyes flicked up, surprised at the praise. Thank you. Next, Gabe set the girls' chores. Niver received the task of wiping table surfaces twice a day and keeping the food prep counter clear. Lisa was given the job of collecting eggs, with the rule that an adult checked first in case a hen was in a mood. Both tasks gave them purpose without overwhelming them. When it came time to fix the coop properly, all 4 went outside. The ground was firmer today, the trench still draining water away. Gabe brought out a hammer, nails, and a sturdy replacement board. Alira insisted on holding the board in place while he secured it. "You don't have to do the heavy parts," he said. "I do," she answered. "If I'm staying, I'm building something, not just borrowing it." He respected that and hammered with her, steadying the weight. While they worked, Nivra asked quietly, "Gabe, how long can someone stay here before people think it's wrong?" He set the hammer down, knowing this question wasn't about neighbors. It was about permission to belong. People stay here as long as it's right for them and right for the house. There isn't a limit. Nivra processed that. So, if it works, it works. That's it. Lisa collected feathers and stuck them between her fingers like pretend claws, running in circles. "I'm a hen with 10 hands. Alira let out a small, involuntary laugh, the first unguarded one Gabe had heard from her. She quickly covered her mouth, but the sound lingered in the air, warm. Later, while the girls played on the porch, Alira stood beside Gabe near the Coop fence. She felt nervous. Her fingers twisted the end of her braid. "If I try to settle here, I'm afraid it will fall apart. Every time something felt safe before, we were moved." Gabe leaned on the fence, looking out at the orchard. "Then we don't rush the word settle. We build routine first. Stability comes from repeated days that don't break." "And if tomorrow you decide this is too much responsibility?" she asked, the fear quiet but honest. "If the day ever comes that I can't support what we build here, I'll tell you, not push you out." He met her eyes. "We build this with honesty, not surprises." That answer hit deeper than he knew. Alira nodded, not trusting her voice. The afternoon passed with simple tasks: hanging laundry, sweeping the porch, and helping the girls with their list. The rhythm felt natural, almost like they had lived here longer than 2 days. Before dinner, Gabe gave Alira another step toward autonomy: keys to the house. He placed them on the table. "You should have these. This is your home while you're here, not a place you're locked into or locked out of." Alira stared at the keys a moment, then closed her hand around them. She felt seen. The metal was cool in her palm, the symbol clear. She now had agency, not just shelter. She met his eyes. "This is the first place in a long time where someone asked me to stay on my terms." "You're not here to be saved, Alira," Gabe said. "You're here to reclaim your life. I'm just giving you the space and tools to do it." Her breath shook once, not from fear, but from something loosening inside her. By evening, the house carried a calm that felt earned. The path ahead wasn't solved yet, but it was visible. And for the first time, Alira allowed herself to picture a tomorrow that didn't start with packing bags. The next day brought clear sunlight and the first dry warmth since the storm. The orchard glistened with droplets that hadn't yet evaporated, and a faint breeze carried the smell of damp soil, grass, and the mild sweetness from the hives. Gabe stepped outside early to split a stack of firewood before the girls woke. The sharp cracks of wood splitting echoed across the yard in steady rhythm. Inside, Alira folded the last of the laundry they had washed the previous afternoon. She wore the same white shirt, clean now, and the work pants again, this time secured with an actual belt Gabe had found in a storage chest. Her hair was braided in a neater, more deliberate style. The keys he had given her were on a small string around her neck, tucked into her shirt. She felt grounded but cautious. Each small sign of stability made her nervous, almost waiting for it to be snatched away. She touched the keys through the fabric, as if to check they hadn't been taken overnight. The girls ate breakfast at the table, soft fried eggs and warm Zyron bread. Nivra checked her notebook. "Today we learned something new," she said with a hint of anticipation. "We will," Gabe said, coming back in, wiping sweat from his neck with a cloth. "Today's lesson is independence." He set a bowl of fresh-cut fruit on the table, yellow Larn slices and crisp orchard apple chunks. Alira's eyes narrowed slightly. "Independence for who?" "For you," Gabe answered, "and for the girls in smaller steps." He saw her hesitation. Yesterday, she accepted keys and chores. Today needed a next step, not a leap. He placed a folded paper on the table. "This is a simple weekly schedule template. We'll fill it together. It's not a rule sheet. It's a map." Alira sat slowly. Her body went still, listening. She feared schedules because in the relocation housing, schedules were used to control, not guide. Gabe kept his tone gentle. "We adapt it to your needs. Not mine. He drew 3 short columns: morning, afternoon, evening. Under each, he left blank lines. We'll start with routines that make your days predictable. Predictability builds stability. Then we add goals, small ones we can reach. Later, if you choose to work or earn credits again, we build from here. Alira swallowed, her voice low. I don't know what goals look like anymore. Then we start with manageable steps, he said. You won't rebuild everything in a week. Right now, we focus on what gives you control. Niver leaned forward. Can I also make a routine list? You can help shape chores and learning hours for you and your sister, Gabe said. Not as duty, as structure. Lisa was busy dipping her bread in honey and wiping her fingers on her shirt. Alira reached to stop her, then paused. Instead of scolding, she handed her a napkin gently. Lisa wiped her hands and grinned. A small change, but a meaningful one. Alira wasn't reacting from anxiety, but from calm guidance. Once breakfast was cleared, Gabe turned to Alira. You come with me to town today. Not the market, just the supply depot. It's quieter. I want you to see what being seen looks like on Varies 4. Alira froze. She felt fear. Her chest tightened, and she gripped the back of the chair. The idea of stepping in a public space made old memories surface. Whispers, stares, being moved along by officials. She forced her voice steady. And if someone asks who I am, you answer in a way that protects your dignity, Gabe said. Not as someone hiding, as a guest, or as someone helping with the orchard. You choose the framing. Alira breathed once, deep, and nodded. You won't go alone, he said. And nobody on this moon has authority to relocate you. They don't care who lives where unless you cause harm. And you haven't. You won't. She processed the clarity. It soothed something in her more than reassurance would have. Nivra touched her mother's hand. Mama, if you go, I'll take care of Lisa here. I'll read to her. You don't have to worry. Alira cupped Nivra's cheek with her palm. I'm not worried because I don't trust you. I worry because for a long time, nothing felt safe. Her voice steadied, but I trust Gabe to keep the boundary at the door. Gabe gave the girls instructions while Alira prepared. Stay inside the yard. If someone knocks, you call my name first. Don't open the door. If I don't answer within a breath, you lock the door and stay in the kitchen. Clear. Both girls repeated the steps back to him accurately. Alira changed before leaving, choosing a simple dark green shirt from the storage chest instead of the white one, pairing it with a long wrap skirt she pinned for better movement. It looked modest, but well kept, not like she was hiding or broadcasting vulnerability. She braided her hair tighter and tucked the keys inside her shirt again. Gabe noticed her hands trembled as she tied the last pin. He stepped closer and lowered his voice. Feeling anxious? She nodded. My body thinks leaving a building means losing it. You're not losing anything today, he said. You're gaining ground. The walk to the supply depot took 15 minutes along a quiet road. A hover cart passed them once, the driver lifting a hand in greeting and continuing without a second glance. No stares, no slowing to examine her, just a simple greeting. Alira felt surprised. Her steps grew less stiff. They reached the depot, a small building with open crates of tools, feed, fabrics, and repair parts. The clerk, a middle-aged woman named Larna, looked up from a ledger. Morning, Gabe. Need orchard tools. Couple of fence hooks and a tar patch, he said. Then, calmly, he added, Alira is helping me this week. Larna's eyes flicked to Alira with a polite nod. Welcome. Storm dragged half the valley into the ditch. Hope you didn't get the worst of it. Alira answered carefully. We managed. You'll find plenty of folks here who can lend tools if you need, Larna said. She didn't pry. She didn't ask where Alira was from. She didn't scan her like she was suspicious. She simply saw a person. Alira's shoulders softened by a fraction. They collected what they needed, paid, and left without incident. On the walk back, Alira released a breath she had been holding for the entire visit. I kept waiting for questions. They don't do interrogation here, Gabe said. People on Varies, for live their lives and let others live theirs. It felt normal, she said, almost astonished. Normal is earned quietly, Gabe said. You just took step one. When they reached the house, Lisa ran to the door and waved from behind the window. Nivra stood beside her, guard-like, exactly as instructed, not opening until Gabe reached the door and nodded. Inside, Illyra looked around, as if expecting something to be different simply because they left and came back. Nothing was missing. Nothing was disturbed. She felt relief. Her shoulders dropped in a slow, visible descent. Gabe set the supplies down. "You did well today. Next time will feel less tight." Illyra looked at him, a new steadiness forming in her expression. "Maybe tomorrow, I take the girls to the fence line alone. A small step. That's exactly how you build it," Gabe said. "Step by step until your body learns it's safe." He intended to keep guiding her through these steps until she didn't need him beside her to take them. As the sun dipped lower, Illyra watched Nivra teach Lisa how to fold laundry using the same method she saw her mother use. The girls giggled when Lisa folded a shirt into a messy square, but Nivra patiently corrected it. Illyra leaned on the doorframe and whispered, half to herself, "They look normal." Gabe stood near her. "They're adjusting because you are." She blinked hard, emotion rising, then eased it down. "I'm afraid to want this," she said quietly. "That's fine," Gabe replied. "Want it anyway. We'll build it to last." The following morning carried a lighter feel, as if the house itself recognized progress. Sunlight filtered through the kitchen window in clear bands, catching dust specks that drifted softly in the air. The girl sat at the table finishing warm oatmeal with honey, while Illyra stood near the sink, drying dishes with calm, steady motions. She felt more confident. Her movements lacked the tension of earlier days, and she no longer checked the doors every few minutes. The keys around her neck rested against her chest like something earned, not borrowed. Gabe entered from outside, brushing soil from his hands. Fence lines holding. No repairs needed today. He removed his boots at the door, setting them neatly aside. Illyra glanced at the girls. "Today's the day," she said quietly, more to herself than him. Gabe nodded. "We talked about it yesterday. When you're ready, you take them to the fence line alone. Not far, not long. Just enough to teach your body nothing collapses when you step out without me." Her fingers tightened slightly on the dish towel. "I want to try. But if they cry, you come back," he said. "The goal isn't to force comfort. It's to build it." Nivra stood, already prepared for the small outing. She had her notebook tucked under her arm. "I'll help Mama. I know the path." Lisa slid off her chair. "We're only going to the fence, not the big road," she said, repeating the rule with pride. Illyra tied her braid, put on the cloak, and took the girl's hands. Before stepping outside, she paused and looked back at Gabe. Her eyes held unspoken fear, but also trust. He didn't speak reassurance that would pressure her. He simply said, "I'll be here when you return." She nodded and stepped outside with the girls. The door closed. Silence settled. Gabe felt a tightness in his chest. He wanted to follow, to make sure everything went well, but he stayed where he was. This step wasn't about him. It was her reclaiming the ability to stand without a guard at her back. He cleaned the kitchen to distract himself, wiping down surfaces, stacking dishes, resetting the space for the day. The quiet house felt strange for the first time, emptier than he expected. He hadn't realized how quickly their presence had filled it. Outside, Illyra walked slowly at first. The yard felt familiar, safe. But once she passed the coop, her grip on Lisa's hand tightened. She forced her breath slow. "We walk to the fence, touch it, count to 10, then return." "That's all." The girls nodded. They reached the fence line. The orchard stretched beyond, open and calm. No threats, no eyes watching, just wind moving through leaves. Nivra touched the fence post and began counting softly. Illyra looked around with alert eyes, expecting a rush of anxiety. It came, but it didn't overwhelm her this time. She stayed. On 10, she exhaled. A small victory. Lisa tugged her hand. "Can we go back and tell Gay we did it?" "Yes," Illyra said. Her voice carried a thread of pride. When they returned, Gabe was standing by the porch, hands in his pockets, giving them space to walk the last stretch on their own. He didn't rush to meet them like someone who was monitoring their success. He let Illyra lead the moment. Nivra called out. "We counted to 10. Lisa raised both arms triumphantly. "We didn't run back. Alira walked the final steps with her head higher, the air around her different, like she was standing in her own body again. It felt strange, she admitted to Gabe, like waiting for someone to order us away. But it didn't happen. That's how it starts, Gabe said. One safe walk at a time. The girls went inside to draw what they saw on the fence walk. Crayons scattered across the table, their pictures messy but colorful. Trees, fence posts, 3 small figures. While they drew, Gabe took Alira to the yard to continue the next phase, shared responsibility. He brought a small wooden crate and placed it on the porch table. I've been thinking about something, he said. You're rebuilding your life. That means you need ownership of a space here, not just living in mine. Alira's hands stilled. What do you mean? He opened the crate. Inside were small household items, a blank ledger, a set of labels, a tin for savings, a hanging organizer for supplies, and 2 sets of gardening gloves, adult size and child size. This is your household box, Gabe said. You decide how it's used. If you stay, this becomes the start of your own system. Not mine. Alira stared at the contents. She felt overwhelmed. Not the drowning kind, but the kind that comes when someone hands you responsibility instead of pity. Her throat tightened. You trust me with all this? It's not charity, he said. You're capable. You should shape your home, not just occupy it. She touched the ledger, fingers tracing the edge. I haven't had a place to record anything for myself in over a year. Start small, he said. Today, write one thing that belongs to you, even if it's only the girl's chore list. Her eyes grew wet, but tears didn't fall. She steadied her breath. They returned inside, where the girls were waiting to show their drawings. Lisa held hers up proudly, stick figures holding hands by a fence with the sun drawn huge overhead. This is us not scared, she announced. Alira's breath caught. She pulled Lisa into her arms, hugged her longer than usual, then kissed the top of her head. When afternoon came, Gabe prepared a meal that felt like a small celebration of progress. Pan-fried orchard boar slices seasoned with herbs, roasted root vegetables with honey glaze, and warm bread. The flavors were rich, grounding. They ate at the table together, not rushed, not tense. Alira ate with a steadier appetite. This feels like living, she said quietly. It is, Gabe replied. After the meal, as the sun dipped low, painting the orchard in soft orange, Alira stepped outside alone for a moment, keys around her neck. She closed her eyes, breathing the evening air, not scanning for danger, but simply being still. She felt something she hadn't felt in years, a sense of belonging beginning to grow. When she returned inside, Gabe was putting away dishes. She moved to help, and for the first time, their hands brushed not by accident, but because neither pulled away. She didn't flinch. Neither did he. The day had been about independence, but closeness had formed alongside it, quiet and sincere. The house no longer felt like his with guests. It was beginning to feel shared. The next morning arrived with a clarity that felt earned. Soft light washed through the kitchen, warming the wooden floorboards. Alira brewed tea at the stove while the girls set the table without being told, one placing cups, the other lining up spoons. Their movements were smoother, natural, not anxious or rushed. It felt like a family routine. They ate quietly, comfortable in the silence. When they finished, Gabe laid out a clean sheet of paper beside Alira's household ledger. He felt calm, but focused. Today needed to give her full ownership of her life's direction. We've built a rhythm these last days, he said. Now we talk about what you want next. Not what's easy, what's right for you. Alira wiped her hands on a cloth. Her fingers shook slightly. If I say I want to stay, does that put a weight on you? Her voice was steady, but her shoulders tense. If you stay, Gabe said, we build a long-term plan you control. That's the only way it works. No pressure, no hint of obligation. The girls watched her closely, knowing this answer mattered. Alira exhaled. I want to stay, not just pass through. I want this to be home, if you're willing to have us here. She said it clearly, no apology in her tone. The statement itself showed how far she had come. Gabe nodded once, as if confirming a practical decision, not a dramatic one. Then we shift from temporary to permanent planning. Nivra's shoulders lowered with relief. Lisa clapped her hands quietly, trying not to spill her tea, to turn staying into something concrete. Gabe took the ledger and opened it to a fresh page. We make this official with structure you choose. First, roles. Shared, not stacked. He drew 3 columns. Home, orchard, personal goals. He guided them through filling it in, not deciding for them, but with them. Under home, Elira wrote, laundry rotation, meal prep twice a week, pantry management. Under orchard, Gabe offered options. Elira chose assist with hives and help maintain orchard equipment. She picked tasks that required learning skills, not just domestic work. Under personal goals, she hesitated. The pen hovered. Gabe spoke softly. You don't need a large goal today. 1 step forward is enough. She wrote only 1 line. Feel safe without waiting for removal. It was honest. It was a beginning. After the planning, Gabe said, there's one more thing to discuss if this is home. His tone carried weight, but no pressure. Shared responsibility publicly. That means being seen as part of this household. I won't ask you to do that until you're ready. Elira looked down, thinking. Public recognition scared her more than staying. Once something was public, it felt real and harder to protect if it broke. Her eyes lifted. I want to face public life here, step by step, not hidden. Then when you're ready, he said, we go to the parish office and register the household as shared. It doesn't bind you to me. It protects your right to live here. She nodded. Not today, but soon. The girls listened with wide, thoughtful eyes. They understood enough to know this meant permanence. To mark the shift from temporary shelter to belonging, Gabe stood and reached for a small wooden wind chime he had made from orchard branch offcuts. He handed it to Elira. This house has 2 chimes already, he said. The first was mine when I moved here. The second I hung the night after the storm, when I realized I didn't want this place to feel empty anymore. This one is for you to hang. When you decide where it belongs, that spot becomes yours. Elira held the chime with both hands. She felt moved, her throat tight. The wood was smooth, oiled, warm from his palm. It's simple, she said softly, but it feels like claiming space. That's exactly what it's for. Later, when the girls went outside to feed the hens, Elira walked through the house, holding the chime, testing how each spot felt. She paused by the window. 2 exposed. She stepped to the hallway. 2 hidden. Finally, she stopped at the porch beam above the entry, where sound would reach indoors and outdoors, marking her presence. She hammered the small nail in herself. When she hung the chime, it gave a single soft note as if acknowledging the choice. She felt anchored. Her chest loosened. That evening, the house smelled of roasted ridge boar with herbs, mashed root seasoned with pepper, and warm bread. It was the first meal Elira cooked entirely on her own in Gabe's kitchen. She kept glancing at the shelves to remember where everything was, but she owned the space tonight, moving with a quiet confidence. They ate together, and conversation flowed without planning. When dinner ended, Nivra leaned against her mother's arm. Mama, this feels like when we used to live with Grandma. Before everything changed, Elira brushed a hand through her daughter's hair, voice low. Yes, and we're building it again. Different, but ours. Lisa yawned and climbed into Gabe's lap without hesitation this time. She curled into him as if it were routine. Elira watched, not with fear, but with cautious acceptance. Later, after the girls slept, Elira stepped onto the porch. Gabe joined her, leaning on the railing beside her. The new chime clicked gently in the evening breeze. Elira felt a mix of calm and vulnerability. I didn't think I'd ever want a home again. Wanting made us lose everything last time. Wanting isn't the danger, Gabe said. Not being allowed to build anything is. Elira turned, met his eyes. Thank you for not treating us like a rescue project. I'm not here to save you, he said. I'm here to build alongside you, until you no longer need me to. Her voice softened, almost a whisper. What if I still want you here, even when I don't need you? Gabe didn't respond with words. He let the silence answer. Not pushing forward, not pulling back, but standing close enough for intention to be felt. A soft breeze moved the new chime. Its note blended with the other 2, creating a fuller sound. 3 distinct tones forming one calm harmony. Inside, 2 children slept without fear of being moved in the night. Outside, 2 adults stood in a space no longer defined by survival, but by choice. Nothing was rushed, nothing left uncertain. Their life together had begun, solid, steady, and real.